Yes, then I would like to say welcome to our hike session to the topic Mastering Venture Capital Fundraising for First-Time Founders. And here I like to warmly welcome Erdinç Koç, which is today our speaker for this hike session. He is really experienced in venture capital rising. He is like the head of the MTH accelerator. But I don't want to tell too much about him. I guess he can also introduce himself a little bit after my introduction. We will also record the session today. So if you're not, you don't want to share your stuff with the public, just tell us so we can cut you out, or you have to accept it. But yeah, welcome, Erdinç. We are happy to have you here, and we are really excited. So the first point will be like more interactive. Yeah, talk about the fundraising, and afterwards we have a lot of time to share some questions and answer some questions. But yeah, that was about me. And as I said, it's your turn, Erdinç. And yeah, we are excited to get more about the topic.
Yeah, cool. Hey, Christian, thank you. And Thomas, also thank you for organizing this workshop today. And thank you for the invitation. My name is Erdinç, and I'm working in the startup and venture capital world since 2015. And my expertise on the topic of fundraising. And now for the next 60 minutes, I would like to share my experience of the last 10 years or 11 years, what it means to raise capital for your startup, whether it's an angel round, pre-seed round, or seed round. And so I'm going to present you a couple points, but for me, it's really important to talk about your questions. So whatever question you have as a founder or as a participant, just let's have a discussion, and then maybe I can share some insights about my experience with the founders, right? So don't hesitate to ask any kind of question. Then I'm going to share my screen, and then we can kick off. Okay, here we go. Okay. Are you able to see my screen? Perfect. So the first thing, why the language English? Even though we are based all in Germany, I can tell you, if you as a founder believe you want to go for venture capital, probably you need to raise a couple funding rounds. And the chances will be really high as soon you raise more than $1 million that you need to chase investors, not only in your city, in your region, but all over Europe and also maybe US. So the official language of the venture capital world, even though we're in Germany, it's English. Okay. So if you're in the situation of, should I prepare my pitch deck in German or English? It depends. Like if you want to chase venture capital and want to think big and build a global company, focus on the English version. Okay. Okay. And the other thing is, I think of all the founders that I work with in the last 10 years, 90% are first-time founders. Well-educated people coming from universities or from a specific industry, but having the challenge of building the first time a tech company and raising the first time. And I always say, no one expects that you need to be the super founder. The question is more, how fast can you learn? Because you're going to do sales the first time, hiring the first time, fundraising the first time. But I know founders, it takes for them 8 months to understand what pitch deck means. But I also know founders who gets the idea of a pitch deck in 8 minutes. And you should ask yourself, how fast can I learn and adapt? And if you're not able to do so, you need to bring good people into your company to take over these topics. Okay. And the session will be also relevant for people who are trying to raise maybe the first funding round with angels or pre-seed round or seed round. And I also believe the reality check, I call it, I believe there are no fundraising secrets. Usually, all the things I'm going to tell you, it's not like I own this information. You can't find them anywhere. I think the issue is more purely informed founders. You're not educated enough on these topics. That's usually the issue. And I also believe there are so many fundraising advisor experts, or it's like sales coaching, you know. I believe no one can promise you a funding. You know, I think it's a bullshit promise. My promise is to help you to make you better at fundraising. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean it will guarantee your funding. Because whatever experts or mentor you have, you as a co-founder or the CEO needs to take control about the fundraising. No one else. No one will come and save you. The co-founder team, the CEO is responsible for the company and for the fundraising. No one else. You know, basically saying, if you as a founder come to me and say, Erdinç, I have no clue about fundraising. Can you do fundraising for me? No, it's a red flag. You know, it's a bad signal, basically. Okay. So what are usually the main goal of my fundraising? Even though I do so many workshops for other accelerator programs, I see cohorts of startups in the same program, but the quality level, the urgency level, and the experience level of the founders is really different. And usually I'm stuck in the first topic of helping you to understand how the fundraising dynamics are. You know, I see rarely people are already in stage 5 of just negotiating with investors. Usually most of the founders are in the first stage of, hey, how does fundraising work? You know, and let's continue about my background. So currently I'm running the MTH accelerator in Potsdam for 3 universities. I'm also a venture partner at 2 VCs. And I used to work for Hasso-Plattner Institute and also Rocket Internet in the past. And I reviewed, I think, almost more than 30,000 pitch decks. I interviewed more than 4,000 founders. I invested more than 100 startups, and I'm connected to several investors all over Europe. And in total, I helped startups raise more than 36 million in funding. And my goal is to share my experience with you today. But for that, I need your questions. Blah, blah, blah. Let's continue. So I think the one, before I start with the main topics, I need to say, whatever I'm going to tell you today, don't follow my advice blindly. Because I believe as a founder, you will get a lot of advice, good and bad advice. And you as a founder need to develop a skill of filtering the feedback, you know, and having the balance of listen to your gut feeling and having, in German, I would say Rückgrat, compared to being open for changes, you know, like, and it's like a thin line. You know, you need to signal to the investor, I have also my own beliefs. So that's why whatever I'm going to tell you, the goal is that you are able to build your own conviction, right? And don't only follow my advice here. The second thing is, I'm not an educated coach or whatever. I don't have a system that I use. I'm just trying to be myself. But I have a direct coaching style. And what I see is giving feedback and taking feedback is a huge philosophy, you know. But what I see usually is that really good founders, they appreciate the hard truth. And wannabe founders, they get defensive, you know. And I'm a strong believer of if you want real progress, you need real talk. So no sugarcoating, coding, no bullshit. Basically, that's my personal style. Are there any questions so far here from the audience about the things what I just said? Okay. Let's talk about. Usually, I get the founder the question, "Hey, Erdinç, how do you select founders?" Because you usually hear, "Hey, in the early stages, the investors invest into the team, invest to the co-founder." That's true, right? But the question is, what skill set does the founder needs to bring on the table? And even though I spent 10 years, I still not able to pick the right founder. I have my beliefs, I have my biases, right? But I still try to figure out, hey, how would I describe the ideal founder? There is no ideal founder. But if I can pick some points, I would say for example, number two, I think as a founder, you need to be comfortable being underestimated. Because most of the people will say, you will not be successful because of this, because of that. You didn't study at Harvard, you didn't start at the Ivy School, you're a first-time founder. So people will, in general, underestimate you, and you should be comfortable with that. Point number 13, it's also interesting for me. Be the one who learns to enjoy getting punched in the face. The journey is too brutal if you don't thrive off it. Meaning, you're constantly in the firefighter mode, you know, there you need to always solve problems. And there's the breaking point. Whenever you see a challenge in your company and as a founder, it's opportunity to break down or it's the opportunity to grow on the challenge. And you as the founder, you need to grow with each challenge, basically. But of course, there are way more nuances to that top. I just want to give you a short overview what I personally think. But as I said, there is no ideal founder. Let's continue here. So let me give you, I broke down kind of a couple points about the brutal truth I learned in the last 10 years of fundraising. I think the first part is fundraising is going to be brutal. It will beat you down. If you think like, hey, it's easy to fundraise, no chance. It doesn't matter what background you bring on the table, what industry you are, whether you're consumer app, crypto, or B2B AI or infrastructure, you will get a lot of rejection and it will hurt your ego. You know, think about it. Imagine we reach out to 100 investors and 95 investors tell you, you're too early, you're not the right founder, this is not going to work, I've thought it already 6 times, I don't understand what you're trying to do, you know, like, no, that stupid idea, and yada, yada, yada. And that's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. But always remember, every time when you see the news and you see a startup raise 1.5 million, 3 million, 5 million, every of them got rejections, but no one is talking about, you know? And you need to overcome that because point number 2, no victim mindset. Okay, that's really important. No victim mindset. But because of the short time, I will jump over and go to the main topics, the important here, what I will initially here today. I think before you go into the fundraising, you always need to remember what's your main job as a founder is. Meaning, before you chase the validation of your class. That's the main job. Not like having fans being on the 430 on the 30s, going only events. No, instead of going 6 pitch events, you should talk to 6 customers. Because without having a signal of a market pull that you can prove that the market is interested in the product, it will be really hard to investors. A well-known investor in the scene will probably get up to 10,000 applications per year, and they only do 10 investments, probably on average, meaning the acceptance rate is less than 1%. It's a brutal selection game. They're going to do cherry picking. Of course, maybe on a personal, but if they don't know you, it will be really hard to convince an investor without having the proof. So that's something you should always remember. And the other thing, what a lot of founders do a mistake is the VC game. Let me show you what I mean by that. I personally believe that venture capital is a niche industry, meaning less than 10% of all startups that I met in the last 10 years should chase venture capital. But in reality, everyone is chasing venture capital. And then I asked them, can you explain me as a founder, what does it mean to be a VC case? Right? Like, can you define what the VC case is? And a lot of founders struggle. I think less than 20% of startups are able to explain it. And what I mean by that is this here. It's a basic rule of thumb. So when you talk about investors, you have angels and VCs. Angel invest their own money. They can do whatever they like to do. But VCs, the so-called institutional investors, they invest the money of other organizations or other wealthy individuals. And the VCs, the investors of the VCs, they expect a return of 3 to 6x in 10 years. Meaning, if I'm a managing director of a VC fund and my goal is to collect 100 million euro, I need to go around the world and ask other organizations, hey, my name is Erdinç. I would like to start a 100 million euro fund so I can invest in the AI startups in Germany. And then they will ask me, what's your track record? What's your investment thesis? And then the question is, what's in it for us from the return perspective? And the global benchmark is 3x. I go to my investors and tell them, hey, if you give me 100 million euro, in 10 years, I'm going to pay you back 300 million euro. That's the market benchmark. Meaning, I have now 100 million euro, and my goal is in 10 years to triple it, 3x. So that's the pressure that VCs have. And that's why VCs have the kind of rule of thumb. If they do 10 investments, 8 will fail. Just 2 will be successful. And these 2 successful startups in my portfolio needs to be so big so they can cover all my losses, failed investments. And that's why the investors say, if I invest in pre-seed seed stage, ideally I want to have 100x on a single investment. Meaning, me as an investor, I invest 1 million euro in Thomas' company, get 10% in exchange for the 1 million, and hopefully he can make 100 million euro out of it. From 1 million to 100 million, 100x on a single investment. And there's the rule of thumb also, if I run a 100 million euro fund, I need to have 2 unicorn cases in my portfolio, meaning I only invest in startups who have the potential and the ambition to build a unicorn, a startup with a $1 billion valuation in 10 years. And if I have the feeling as an investor, I talk to a founder, it's a nice business, nice founder, but the ambition or the potential is not going to the $1 billion company, I will reject and say, hey, cool person, cool co-founder team, cool business, but it's too small for us. That's why we're going to reject. And to become a unicorn in the next 10 years, you basically, as a first-time founder, need to tell, hey, investor, please listen. This is our goal and our ambition. How are we going to build a 100 million euro revenue business in the next 10 years? Even though you just have a pitch deck and maybe the first pilot in your, right? But you need to think like this big ambitious. And then the investor will ask themselves, okay, how can this startup reach 100 million euro in 10 years? Like, what's your pricing model? If you tell me, hey, every client will gonna pay me $100 per year, probably you need 1 million customers in the next 10 years. But if you tell me, hey, we're gonna charge 1 million per customer per year, enterprise, then probably you just need 100 customers to get there. You know, this is the mindset you should need to understand. Like basically, whenever kind of, maybe I have it here. So whenever you talk to a VC, first of all, the first topic of homework for you as a founder is understand the fund mathematics of the fund you're talking to. How big is the fund? When did they start it? What's their investment thesis? What's their ticket size, right? And then try to understand the VC fund math. You know, and what it means is, I can show you here another example to make it even simpler. Here we go. One second. Here. Meaning, this is an example of a 100 million euro fund, right? And the goal is in 10 years to 3x the fund from 100 million to 300 million, ideally. With the 100 million euro, I'm going to take a management fee of 20% in 10 years, meaning I already take the 100 million euro and cut 20%. So I have only 80 million euro left to invest in startups. On average, probably I will do 35 investments. And with these 35 investments total, I try to get to 300 million euro exits. And as I said at the beginning, most of the VC funds are never able to get there. Just a handful, I think around about 10% of all VCs around the globe are able to achieve 3x return. You know, and this is something you need to ask yourself. The ultimate question is, you know, usually I get the question of founders, hey, Erdinç, can I have feedback on my pitch deck, right? Pitch deck. That's the main topic. I can tell you, number one, there is no golden standard for pitch decks. Everyone has a different taste. The goal of the pitch deck should be to be clear, right? You should be clear with your story. But what's more important for an investor is not the pitch deck. The question is, can you return the fund? If I invest into your startup, can you return my fund? That's the main question investors ask themselves. And this is something you should understand. And the last point, coming like just to give you another feeling, and let me show you here. And if you feel like, hey, VC is nothing for me, right? Probably you need to target mainly business angels. You know, angels should be the people you should target. But when it comes to angels, let me show you here what I mean by that is. Here we go. So, okay. So the question where you can find angels, right? You can go on Sales Navigator, LinkedIn, you can go to databases, Crunchbase, Band, Editwell, any other platform, blah, blah, blah. But what I would recommend is don't only go to the angel clubs in your city, like Angel Club Stuttgart, Berlin, Hamburg, whatever it is, right? I would target more successful founders or important employees of successful startups. Like instead of going to the Angel Club Stuttgart, ask yourself, you're building a B2B AI startup. Which founder built already a successful B2B AI startup? You're building a consumer app startup. Instead of reaching out to the Angel Club Duisburg, reach out to the employee number 6 at Spotify. Because these people know how to build a successful organization that you are trying to build. They have a huge reputation, network, knowledge, right? And this is priceless. Like, definitely try to reach out to these people. And coming to the end, for now, one of my favorite quotes of an investor is, never build a company for VC, build it to provide value to your customers. You know, that's, no investor should tell you how to build a company. And your main motivation should be not building this organization for the investors. That should be never your goal. And I always say, when it comes to my final advice, there is no shortcut to experience. You need to go out and make your own experience. Meaning, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. Meaning, go out and talk to the people and make your own experience. Maybe you don't need all this bullshit that I just told you. Make your own path to success. And if you do so, number one, do your preparation. Signal the investor, kind of, I did my homework today. That's why I'm here in the call. Number two, you are the asset in early stage. The investment is on you, not your pitch deck. Show the right signals as a founder. And number three, you need to have a momentum for your successful fundraising. Whether you have a momentum of the business perspective, the traction is growing, or you got the first commitments of public funding or any other investors who would like to invest, and now you want to use the momentum. And whenever you have a question in the future, please reach out anytime to me. But for now, that's it from my side. Let's switch into the Q&A mode.
Yeah, thank you very much for your input. I guess it was super interesting for our potential founders. From my side, I think it was super interesting. So yeah, let's hand over to our audience. Are there any questions to Erdinç?
I would have a question, maybe based more on like the timing when to start. For sure, we all need the money. So we are currently having like a pretty sure pre-seed round with 500,000 secured, but for me the question, should I directly start after those round is closed, this round is closed, or like how much time do I need to prepare the next round, to find a VC or find an investor? Is there like a rule of thumb, or what would you like say for it?
Okay, so I'm going to do it quick, but there are more nuances to it, you know, because we can talk hours about that question, you know, like, but
Yeah,
I try to be, but if I understood right, you raised 500,000 euros. Now the question is when to start a new round?
exactly, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, you could be too early for your fundraise, but you could never be too early to build relationships. You know, so that's the game. The other philosophy is you should always raise from the position of strength and not desperation. And you are in the position of strength because you basically could go into the investment meeting and say, I don't need your money. I'm fine for the next 18 months. So let's have a talk. And it takes the pressure out of, hey, we're desperate. We need to close the round, right? And the other thing is, okay, what can I say? So many things. First of all, you run away, right? So the question is now, how much time do you have for your runaway, right? The 500,000, how long can you last? Probably 18 to 24 months. Let's assume 18 months. What I would do the first 12 months, purely focusing on hitting milestones, right? Focusing on building the business, building and shipping. And then the last 6 months, you have time for your fundraise. You know, so here's the thing. Let's assume it's January. A lot of startups start their fundraising in January, try to close it until summer break, July, August. And then they start in September until December. You know, these are the timeframes usually. Let's say it's January, if you go out now to investors and say, we are fundraising and want to close the round until June, investor will tell you, hey, we have so much time. We have 6 months time. Let's talk again in May, you know, like what's the hurry? What I recommend here is, let's assume you use a convertible note or even an equity round. Start in January with preparation, reaching out to investors for building relationships. And then the last 2 months, May, June, you use the time actively asking now for money. You know, like ideally you start 9 months prior with preparation, targeting list, but you use the last 2 months actively asking for money, because then you have kind of the time pressure, you know, like you say, okay, hey, we don't waste time so much on fundraising. We want to be sharp and close the round fast, basically. But the pre-work is really important, you know, building relationship, test the waters, and so on. But the other factor is, if you have a momentum on the business side and the investor is signaling, hey, we would like to invest, this is also maybe a special situation where you think like, hey, we have still 12 months runaway, but we have the momentum of closing 3 million seed round. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
You know, so it really depends on, but what I would do is also, if you close 500K and you prepare, you think about the next round, you need to ask yourself, what milestones do you need to achieve to close the seed round? Right? And one example could be, let me show you an example. What kind of business model do you have?
Like we are selling like a smart cooking device based on which is basically hearing the sound of cooking, like hearing what's going on your cooktop, and like can ja die Steuerung selber übernehmen und regeln. Sorry, bin nicht so fit im Englischen.
Got it. Okay, just to make it simple, you know, let's assume you have a B2B SaaS model, right? Here you see the selection framework of Hightech Gründerfonds for the seed round.
Yeah.
For example, they say if you have 200 to 800K ARR, that's a strong momentum for closing the seed round as a B2B SaaS model. So, so you need to understand now what milestones you need to achieve now with the 500K and what time to get to the next round. You know, and that's why maybe in your target investor list, you have 30 investors, A, B, C, A top relevant, B medium relevant, and C less relevant. Try to identify the 5 top relevant investors and knock on their door and say, hey, we are not fundraising, but if we knock on your door and ask for money in 18 months, what traction do we like to see for our kind of business model?
Okay, yeah.
You know, you need to understand, because otherwise you don't know what you need to deliver and you kind of lost.
Yeah. Good point, yeah.
Yeah. This is the basic thought process here. Other questions? Any question, like, guys? Don't.
Yes, Erdinç, I want to try, because I think about how do I find the right investor for my business. I think there's a lot of opinions. What ways you are see to catch the right investor? You have any tips for or some solutions?
There's, of course, there are so many. I think. Okay, let me show you here under the topic of investor research, right? I'm a big believer. You usually hear it's a numbers game, yeah, but fit beats volume, meaning you need to target the right investors and not every person who says on LinkedIn I'm an investor, right? Because there are also a lot of wannabes out there. And what you need to fit is you kind of need to fit, kind of do filters. Do they invest in your geography, in your stage? Does the ticket size match? Does the ownership match? Industry vertical, business vertical, audience vertical, you know? And it's not enough to say, oh, I have a B2B investor, it's a great fit. Or it's a VC, it's a fit. No. VCs, they have a focus. Angels, they're opportunistic, you know? They're kind of, angels have the mindset, do I understand the market? Can I be helpful in the market? You know, for example, if a medtech startup comes to me and says, Erdinç, could you be helpful? I would say, I don't understand the market and I don't have a network in that market. How can I be helpful? Right? That's the kind of the core question of an angel. And what I would recommend is where there are a couple. Let me show you. So what I'm a big fan is, let me show you here. Maybe I can go on LinkedIn. I will give you a straight example. So let's assume, to make it simple, let's assume I'm a climate tech founder, right? So, and then let's assume Better Ventures. It's an angel collective focusing on climate tech. And let's assume these people are relevant investor. And I'm going to check the team here. Blah, blah, blah. Who's the team? Blah, blah, blah. And then let's say this guy is super relevant for me, one of the investment managers, right? What I would do is I would go on LinkedIn now and I would check him. And if this guy is super relevant, I would do this here. I would follow him, right? And if he is super relevant, I would put an extra notification. And what happens now? This guy is most likely sharing a lot of knowledge about my industry. What are the next big climate tech events? What are the big funding rounds? What are the hype topics? What was their co-investors on the angel level? And you get a lot of insights from your target group of investors. And then you learn their language, what tracking benchmarks, the funding rounds. And then you see more and more investors that you never thought before. And then you grow from time over time. But it's really important. That's my favorite way to identify the investors over time. Because I'm a strong believer, you can't Google your investors.
Yes, great insights. But another question, we also search for some websites with databases or overusers with some filter functions. There, you built something like that, I think.
Yeah. That's my personal one. This is for my. This is what I'm working on 6 months, mainly to educate myself, right? But I will give you an example. Every time when I have a new, let me show you here, maybe what I mean by that is, let's go back. Every time when I see a new funding round, right? Let me hear. Here, every time when I get a new announcement, whatever, I say, okay, great, let me put it in my database. For example, there's this new VC fund focusing on travel tech, right? And then, okay, put them on the list. And this is the way I operate since 6 years. First of all, to educate myself. And second of all, helping founders to understand, for example, what are the angel family offices, VCs, US VCs, and this and that. But my main source is LinkedIn usually.
Yes, great.
Yeah.
I also have like another question. So we are having like in our hike incubator, as it says, like an incubator, like really startups which are really in an early phase. So when do you think it would make sense for them to approach their first contacts to venture capitalists, or when does it even make sense to approach them with a concrete, willing to get some venture capital? Do they need already some turnover or some, first customer, LOI, for example? Or when do you think it makes sense to get into the game, let's say?
Yeah, there's also, it's a tricky situation. What I mean by that is,
Okay. Because like for students, there are like another opportunities. For example, like this Exist founding scholarship, for example. So they have quite a wide range of potential access points. So is it already makes sense before they even get some Exist founding scholarship to get in touch with venture capitalists? Or when do you think it's like a good start, a good timing?
Okay. Number one, you should surround yourself as a founder with other builders, with people who know how to build companies. And I'm not saying like a founder who built a company 20 years ago. Ideally, a founder who's from the same industry, working kind of on the same, whether it's B2B SaaS, hardware, like kind of a business model, who's not a competitor, but who recently still building or built it 2 or 3 years ago, because then they are close to the actual industry, because 20 years ago was completely different game to now, that's the thing. So that would mean for university student team, leave your campus as soon as possible and have a touch to the real world, Of course, get Exist and this and that, but don't stay in the comfort zone too much, because otherwise it feels like, hey, I have Exist, easy, 150K, and then I win other pitch award, easy. Oh, feels like I'm the next Mark Zuckerberg. And then the reality hits, when they don't have Exist anymore, and then they're like, oh, I need to pay rent, I need to pay for that service, and then, so instead of my practical advice, instead of chasing VCs, chase one person who already build what you're trying to build. Not a competitor, but in the kind of the same industry. Even though you don't get money, but if I would be a Series A founder, AI B2B, probably I went through hell. You know, I know how to build a company onto Series A. I have a network of other investors. I know the industry. And this is experience that I can share firsthand with the founder. And it will be not only about how to pitch and how to create a pitch deck, it will be how to build that business mainly, you know? And then maybe I can introduce the founder to my network of investors that I work hard for, you know? So don't waste your time of having having a polished pitch deck and only go to pitch awards. No, you know, like chase customers, chase one mentor who build what you're trying to build. You know, that would be my practical advice.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions from the audience?
Erdinç, you are the head of the accelerator,
Yeah.
MBH. I think you prepare the teams for venture capital pitch. You prepare the teams. Give us a little bit a feeling about training, something like that, or some topics you discuss, or some special things like a video feedback, or what?
Sure.
Yes.
So initially, as an MTH accelerator, we only had in the past one program, investment readiness program, right? Startups applied, and then they went into the program. Let's say it was 10 startups, right? And after week by week, we had less and less startups still raising money because they realized, we didn't know what the expectation will look like, how hard the competition is. And then they are like, we don't want to go the way anymore, or we are not able to go that way. So my point is they go naive into the game, and then they reality check, they get a reality check, and then they realize, right? And that's why it's brutal. So my point is, like, please, as a founder, ask yourself, what kind of vision or idea you have about your company? What kind of company you want to build? What kind of culture, right? Where do you see yourself? Do you want a high scalable, high risk, high reward game? You want to sell it one day? You know, like, do you want to focus only on growth? Like, it really depends. And then you need to understand, is VC really the way you want to go? And you need to answer that. But going into the VCs, not knowing what the expectation look like, it will beat you up, you know? So please, as a founder, don't follow the VC hype blindly. Understand it, you know, for yourself, and then make a decision, yes or no. So, but I can tell you, coming back to your question, Thomas, if we have 10 startups in our portfolio, in the end of the day, maybe when we are lucky, one will raise. If we are lucky, you know.
Yeah. But you have special training options, for example, or something like that?
So first of all, they will get access to the fundraising guide, the overview of investors. I have a list, for example, here we go. Let me show you. I have a list, a simple example, right? I have a list of 100 investors where I can do a personal intro. And then you see the name of the investor, what VC they work for. Is it a VC, angel, or micro VC, or family office? And then you see what vertical they invest in, whatever. And usually when I share with founders, first-time founders like, hey, Erdinç, introduce me to everyone. This kind of thing. If I would do that, the investor will in the future will tell me never do intros anymore. So and or founders, when they apply to our program, they're like, hey, how many investors do you know? Like, do you know enough? And I would say, don't worry about the numbers of the investor. The question is more, are you good enough for our network?
Yes.
That's the thing. Because if I do blind intros, investor will tell me never do intros anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And here's my other controversial take. I'm working with accelerator programs since 2017, right? As an employee or as an advisor. And my controversial take is, right? VCs do cherry picking. They pick the best of the best. And these startups usually never join an accelerator program. Doesn't matter it's Evor, it doesn't matter it's Tum, doesn't matter it's whatever, any. And that's and that's something we need to realize, and for us it's like, okay, we as an accelerator manager, we will take maybe startups who are underestimated, maybe right now play in the third league or second league, but then the question is, can we help them to elevate them to the first league or even Champions League, over time? And that's why in the last 7 years, it never felt like all VCs are chasing me as a program manager. Like, hey, Erdinç, how many stuff? I need to chase the VCs to have workshop with our company,
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah. Okay, understand.
I just see one of the audience is raising his hand. So Yashvardhan, do you have a question?
Yes. Hi, Erdin. This is I'm Yashvardhan. I have joined Social Nordhausen 4 months ago. I am developing on an idea which is solving the problem of grid congestion. And it's for me as an energy-based startup, what kind of options there are for me to raise funds? Because most of the players that we are playing with are the DSOs, which is the district straight operators, and the TSO. So what kind of options are there for me?
Sorry, I didn't understand what the problem is.
I'm asking what kind of funds raising can I do if I am a energy startup?
Yeah.
And because our field is little bit much more compressed, so there are very less amount of players in energy based startups. So where can I target myself into?
Just to give you an example, right? I have here now 600 VCs. If I put energy here, you see 50 investors who are officially saying we do invest in energy startups. So there are a lot of investors. I think, again, it's not a secret, but there's a poorly informed founder, right? So my shortcut would be surround yourself with other energy tech startups. Ideally, a founder who's maybe 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. They did already a research of what are the funding options for energy tech startups. You're not the only one. Share experience, share information, build relationships. And then instead of you Googling stuff from scratch, get the database of our other energy tech startup and have the shortcut, basically.
So I am actually if I tell about my energy-based startup, it's called Gridflux. We are actually selected in accelerator program also, which is based in Stuttgart. So we are currently doing something we have all the other energy startups. It's specifically focused upon energy based startups, growing them. We're still at the infant stages of the accelerator program. It hasn't started fully, but if you might know, how can I reach more to other programs wherein I can meet all the other energy startups?
Got it. There was another initiative. There's another set. Oh, wait. Set and here. There's another. I think there's a network of any or how can I say it? Okay, just give me a second. I think your industry is also under the umbrella of climate tech, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
climate, and here, for example, you can do a screenshot. You see here an overview of all kinds of climate tech initiatives, for founders. But there's one more industry, but I don't have the set energy. Yeah, but I think it's a good starting point, the overview that I just showed you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we also can dig a little bit deeper in one of our appointments, Joshua, then, that we can figure it out. If you have time, Erdinç, Moritz is also raising his hands like already 5 minutes. So if you have like another 2 minutes, maybe we can answer like his question as well, and then we will come to an end.
Yeah, okay. I just found that SetHub, this is a network for energy-related startups. Just check them out.
Okay.
But again, as a founder, if you're not able to build a network, how to deal with people, you will have hard times to build a successful company. Like you need to master relationship building.
Yes, I do understand. Like, there's something which I actually also want to talk about with you. So if you're like free after this meet, can we just like meet up quickly?
Yeah, I have my contact details. Here we go. Just shoot me an email and then we can have a talk.
Okay.
Let's come to the other question. There was one more founder, right?
Yeah, Moritz.
Yes, thank you very much. Wonderful. Yeah, I've got a question regarding business angel funding.
Yeah.
In case you found a business angel you're very happy with, you're working great together, but the founding did not start yet, and you think about adding additional business angels to the team, would you recommend to have like one very strong business angel as a lead investor, followed by small different business angels, or to have like an equally spreaded equity between these different business angels? Is there any recommendations from your the things you've seen, Floyd?
Okay. I didn't understand the situation right now. So you have a co-founder team and you have your first business angel, right?
So like from a very early perspective, you plan to bring business angels into your team, and you
in
have
your team,
one...
That's already a red flag.
No, in my team, on my side. And the question is, would you prefer to have one lead business angel in a strong position, or to have different business angels equally distributed on the investors' side of the table?
Okay. First of all, probably if you go for couple funding rounds, you will have more than just one investor, right? The other thing is, an investor should be never a co-founder, and angels should only act if that founder asks for help. Like there should not be like a teacher, and like a major, you should do this, you should that. No, you in the driver's seat, you are the founder, not the angel. And the other thing is, every time when you build a funding round, you want to buy yourself knowledge, like smart capital. What I mean by that is this year. Let me show you quickly. One second. Value. Here. Here, for example, you want an angel who help you access to your relevant network, an angel with credibility, branding power, angel with signaling power, angel helping you to prepare the next round, help you to hire, connect you with other founders, have an operator mindset, trusted console, help you to sell, expansion, crisis support, whatever, like you want to build a team of smart capital. And of course, if you have one angel, like usually when you take your first angel, the angel will probably invest 50 to 100K. How much equity the angel will get? Probably up to 5% on equity. And if it's on a convertible note, it means they are not shareholder. They're just like they give you the loan right now. So you should be fully in the driver's seat. And then, of course, you will have like a balance, not depending too much on one investor. You won't have like also other investors involved, So that's my take, I would say, in short.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Erdinç, for this session. And thank you very much that you also shared your contact data. I guess if someone is interested or we will have some issue or like some point, we will get in touch with you. But yeah, thank you very much for the session. It was super interesting. And yeah, maybe we can do another session maybe next year, because I guess it's a great benefit for our teams and also give them like a great view what comes next, maybe not like even within the next months, but maybe in the next years. So I guess it's good for them to have some model they can give them like some orientation. Thank you very much.
Hi, Erdinç, can you please share your contact slide once again?
Yeah. 1 second. Sorry, my laptop is so slow today. Here we go.
Yes, Erdinç, great. We see us and we speak us.
Okay, guys. Then
Yeah,
thank you for the opportunity. Chase customers. That's my takeaway, like before you chase investors. Okay.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye. Bye. Bye.